It was only last week that I said Severance delivered its craziest episode yet. And here I am saying it again because oh my days, Severance might have just dropped its craziest episode yet. I'll be honest, for the first 20 minutes I was mad confused. We ended the last episode with Mark undergoing reintegration, and now we're starting with the MDR team in a snowy forest. I was sitting here thinking, what the hell is going on? Turns out, Lumen has sent the innies on an outdoor retreat team building occurrence, or ORTBO for short, which I can only describe as a work retreat from hell. And I mean that literally because this episode had horror vibes all over it. An abandoned snowy forest, creepy doppelgangers, cryptic caves, eerie camps in the middle of nowhere, nightmares, hallucinations, and even a little bit of attempted murder. Now, why did Lumen think sending them on an outside world retreat for multiple nights was a good idea? Beats me, but it ends up being a huge mistake because in the second half of the episode, all hell breaks loose. Irving, who from episode 1 of the season has been highly suspicious of Helly R and what she claims to see on the outside, finally snaps. In front of everyone, he straight up accuses her of lying. Now, Helly R has always been nice to Irving, but in this moment, she acts completely out of character and cruelly tells him that he's just upset because he'll never see Bert again. Irving storms off, gets lost in the woods, and ends up passing out in the freezing cold, almost dying and having a very weird nightmare. But when he makes it back, he finally pieces it together. That isn't Helly R. Nope, that's an outie. And not just any outie, she has to be an Egan. No one else would have that level of influence to access the severed floors. So what does he do? He tracks Helly R, who we now know is actually Helena Egan, to the tallest waterfall in the world and almost drowns her to force a confession. And she finally cracks, screaming out to Milchick by his first name, which is enough to trigger him into calling it in. Seconds later, Helly R wakes back up, obviously shaken and completely unaware of what the hell she just walked into. Irving obviously doesn't get away with this. Milchick immediately fires him, effectively erasing his innie on the spot. A lot happened in this episode that's going to have massive ramifications for the rest of the season. The biggest one, of course, the rest of the innies now know that Helly R's outie is an Egan. How they react to this in the next episode is going to be very interesting. Speaking of Helly R, before all this madness went down, she actually slept with Mark, and I have a wild prediction that she's going to end up pregnant, which would create a whole other set of problems for Mark. I'm also curious to see what happens to Irving now. His innie has been erased, but I highly doubt this is the last we'll see of his outie. And then there's Mark. When he was sleeping with Helena, there were some flashes of memories of his ex-wife, which were likely parts of his outie's consciousness seeping into his innies. There wasn't much else on the outcomes of his reintegration attempt last week, so I can't wait to see where that storyline goes. I am buzzing for the next episode, where I fully expect to once again call it the craziest episode yet. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments.